We will now be moving on to our next panel, lake rejuvenation and community stewardship. Lake rejuvenation has often been reduced to site-level beautification, while deeper issues of sewage inflows, broken catchments, and governance gaps persist. This panel reframes lakes as living ecological systems and examines how community stewardship, better interagency coordination, and long-term maintenance can restore them at scale. Our panelists for this session are Dr. Annapurna Kamath, Mr. Ganesh Shankar, Mr. V. Ramprasad, Ms. Rohini Pradeep, and Dr. Veena Srinivasan moderating the conversation. Dr. Annapurna Kamath founded the Poshan Trust and has been instrumental in mobilizing citizen participation for lake conservation, most notably at Jakkur Lake. She is a committed educationist with a strong track record of advancing early math education across Karnataka, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, and Gujarat. Mr. Ganesh Shankar is founder and CEO of FluxGen Technologies, works at the intersection of water, data, and business, assisting large corporations in reducing their water risk and lowering their water footprint. Mr. V. Ramprasad is co-founder of Friends of Lakes and president of the Federation of Bengaluru Lakes, with long-standing experience in citizen-led lake conservation. He is an environmentalist and community leader who played a pivotal role in rallying communities to rejuvenate and protect over 22 lakes within Bengaluru urban city. Ms. Rohini Pradeep has extensive hands-on experience in design and implementation of decentralized nature-based sanitation systems. At CDDIndia, she leads the used water management and research and development. She currently represents South Asia on the Susanna Global Steering Committee and is a steering member of the IWA Lakes and Water Reservoir Expert Committee. Moderating this presentation will be Dr. Srinivasan. She's the executive director of Well Labs, a mission-driven organization to transform scientific research into real-world impact by designing solutions that create livelihoods while conserving the environment. In 2022, she was listed among the world's top scientists.
Thanks so much. Okay, that works. Thanks so much for the invitation, and it's a really exciting set of panels and a program that you've put together. So it's, I know everybody on this stage well, and so it's really, some of them we've been working for many, many years. So let me start off with, I could give the general background on Bangalore's lakes, but I think everyone in the room understands that we have a city on one hand, which is a garden city with many, many lakes. And we've seen in the newspapers, from 10 years ago, Bangalore catching fire to various reports of fish kills and, reports from organizations like EMPRI, which have said a large number of lakes are actually so polluted that they can't, some of them may not be revivable, so on and so forth. At the same time, and I think we should talk about the positives of what this city has achieved, thanks to people on this stage as well as numerous, activists and citizen groups outside this room, there has been an extremely large number of concerned citizens that have, I would say, on an everyday basis, shown up at lakes and tried to make a difference. And we should celebrate those wins, because whether our lakes themselves have gotten improved over time or not is more complicated, because the city is constantly urbanizing, new layouts are coming out, they don't have sewerage, their sewage enters the lake. So it's a little bit of a myth of Sisyphus story that happens, that you fix one thing and then you got to fix it over and over again. But nonetheless, I think one thing that the groups have managed to can claim very proudly as a win is that the really bad stuff of lakes being encroached, taken over willy-nilly by real estate, that sort of thing has, I think, drastically stopped because of all of these groups being hyper-vigilant. People will call each other, they will file lawsuits, starting with, and now formalize that with what was a loose network through Friends of Lakes and so on, now formalized with the Federation of Bangalore Lakes. So, Ram sir, let me start with you, which is, who are these groups, and what standing do they have? What have they been attempting to do? What have they done well and not? So tell us the story of the citizen engagement on Bangalore lakes.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting. Uh, we are actually Federation of Bengaluru Lakes represents around 62 lake groups, and we are formally registered and we are on the job. Let me tell you, it can be a caution, it can be just an information. That it is up to whoever is taking in whatever manner or in whatever context they want to take it. The one is that who are we first of all? As citizen lake groups, if you see any lake in Bengaluru, let it be any lake. If it has been saved, if it is existing, that means there is a citizen group behind it. Or else by now you will not be seeing any lake. I can give you innumerable examples where there is no citizen group and the lake is totally gone. So let that be presently YMC, that is Elamalapachetty Lake, which is getting encroached by the day, and there will be fights going on. Or let it be Kacharankling Lake, which is 42-acre lake, which has become 16-acre, and we consider it to be totally rejuvenated, already done and finished. We should not talk about the remaining ones. So, or let it be Banaswadi Lake, which is totally gone, which is not even existing now, and what it has become. Where citizen lake groups, or there was nobody to fight for it, or at the same time, are we citizen lake groups activists? Let me tell you, we are not. We are surely not activists. Okay, then what are we? End of the day, we also try to define ourselves. What are we? We are impacted stakeholders. Why do we call ourselves as impacted stakeholders? Anything that anybody does to the lake or to the nala, that is the feeder channels. We don't call them as Rajakalve. Rajakalve is one terminology. We call it as feeder channels. Reason we call it as feeder channel is, end of the day, most of the Rajakalve end up in some other lake. And we, in the feeder channels, both feeder channel and the lake, whatever anybody does, let it be government, let it be NGOs, let it be engineer, let it be a biologist, whoever does anything on the lake, the impacted people are the citizens around that. So most of the lake groups that you will see will be maximum 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer. Most of them are the impacted people. If it is done good, we are impacted positively, we are very happy about it. If you have done it bad, today there are lakes, let it be Kamsandra Lake, let it be Dodtoguru Lake, let it be Chekaripala Lake. Today they are in such a bad condition, the impacted people are shouting about it. So if it is done good, we are happy about it. If it is done bad, 100% you will hear our voice. So let me make it very clear. We are not activists. We don't want to go to the court. We are not somebody who will come to the road and start doing dharna and rasta roko. No, we don't do all those kind of things. But at the same time, if you ask who is impacted, we are the people who are impacted, and all the citizen lake groups are impacted stakeholders. That means you cannot ignore us. If we are impacted badly, 100%, doesn't matter whether it is a government, whether it is an NGO, whether it is a CSR fund, we will be at your neck. That is for sure. So that's where I ended.
Wonderful point, because I think that's a really, really important point that you've made. I want to re-emphasize it, because in this panel also, there are, all of us wear two hats. Some of us live next to a lake, and therefore for that lake, we are an impacted stakeholder. And we will all say that we will use our voices to hold government accountable, so on and so forth, in whatever, and in a constructive way. But also some of us are experts, and we are also service providers. And we've always distinguished in our conversation between, some of us have a technical expertise to offer, which is separate, it's a separate hat you're wearing than the hat you're wearing as a local stakeholder of a lake. So Annapurna, let me move to you, because you are kind of an exemplary, I would want to say, local stakeholder of the kind that you literally, your house is next to Jakkur Lake, and the way I've seen you, you've treated the lake almost as an extension of your family, nurtured the community around it, and so on and so forth. So can you tell us how, a little bit of, when you started and the journey over the last now 15 years almost, I think, with Jakkur Lake, how that's changed, but how, as what Ram has called a concerned stakeholder or impacted stakeholder, how have you been able to successfully navigate the community tensions, if you want to call it, because it's not one person, everybody has their opinion, and the agency side of it. So can you tell us a little bit about that, how you walk that tightrope?
Namaste everyone, and I'm very happy to be here. So Veena, yeah, like you said, when I started this work, I was not aware what I was getting into. But, it was just that intent that I need to work with something that is in my community and next to my home. So the first thought, always was, how do I bring the community together? Because it was not like a fight, my fight versus somebody or something like that. It was like what, as a community, we can do for our community assets or the urban commons that we call it. So that is why the first couple of months or so was just community building. Like stop everybody who walks at the lake and say, would you like to join in the, interest of the lake? And we had a, meeting initially where the entire community, about 50 plus people attended, which also had experts. And we just had a brainstorming. Nothing like what is the right way of doing it. What do you want for your lake? And that's how we started our journey. And then it started with a couple of volunteering drives. And then at some point of time, the frustration was what actually initiated it into a formal body, because we were cleaning it every Sunday and nothing was happening. And next Sunday, more garbage there or more problems there, because people are thinking now we have people to clean it. So it's easier to go and dump it there and get it cleaned by somebody who's interested in cleaning it. So we said we have to do something more about it. And that's when we became a formal body, and we had to start our journey with BDA. Because that time it was with BDA, and we had to go to BDA, find out what is the process there, and then they directed us to BBMP, and that is how the journey began. And we finally had an MOU, and we started working with BBMP. We also were instrumental in getting the papers done from BDA to BBMP. Like I think in the last panel also we were discussing about how interdepartmental problems are there. And we speak about lakes, unfortunately we handle about 17 to 20 governing agencies, because the tree belongs to forest, some sewage belongs to BBMP. So everything is somebody else's. It doesn't belong to one agency, and that was a challenge when you're asking me about governance part of it. So there was a lot of learning to do in the initial stages, because we didn't know whom to go for what purpose. But one advantage we had is the CEO of lakes was very, very, very cooperative at that time of time and encouraging citizen participation. That made our life easy, to just get there and start working. So, the two things that I would like to say is, getting citizens together is also a challenge, because you need to, have an objective, one goal for this community to converge. And then, like you said, everybody comes with their own vision for the lake. Then to have one consensus that this is what we want to do and convince everybody why we want to do that, and it's not like, we have internal kind of conflicts, is a challenge. But yeah, with scientific knowledge and right help from the scientific fraternity, which we have been fortunate, because in Jakur, fortunately, we have all the scientific organization in and around, like ATRI was there, NCBS, GKVK. So we had the scientific fraternity just coming and helping us with all the knowledge we needed, because as a common citizen, we don't have ecology knowledge and everything else. That came as a scientific social responsibility, I would say, which came again honorarium for us, which we didn't have to invest in. That was a great help. And then because of this, because we knew that we are in the right way and we're doing it right, we also had the confidence to go to governance and say, please listen to us and help us do these things at the lake. But when it comes to governing agency, you said, it was, not very difficult, but not very easy. But one thing that we followed is, we went to the governing agencies when we really needed help in terms of permissions and interventions. But most of the time, we, used the strategy of rapport building. Like we built rapport with every agency that was working with the lake. And we had a system of, can I call you and get my problems resolved kind of a thing. And that worked well, because it avoided a lot of interdepartmental paperwork. Now I go to BBMP, then they have to send a paperwork to forest department. That was actually avoided, and we saved in a lot of time. And because of citizen rapport with individual agency directly, there was also this kind of let's work together, a team kind of a feel. It had its own challenges. I wouldn't say everything was smooth run, but that is one important thing that we need, to build individual rapports for smaller things and then work through the government for the bigger things. So this is how it worked for us.
I often joke that interdepartmental convergence happens through, in your case in Jakur, like literally through you. Literally you call one department and say that's happening in that department, and you make the convergence happen. So it's a very invaluable role that you play. I'm wondering whether we should shift to Rohini and Ganesh for a second, because I see both of you as sort of as service providers. I mean, in this panel, your role in this panel. Of course, every one of us as citizens plays both roles. We work in our own lake as impacted stakeholders, and then we, as experts, we work as service providers. Tell us a little bit about, CDD has done a lot of work, Rohini, and led by you, on lake rejuvenation, setting up kind of standards and frameworks, creating models around NBS. So tell us a little bit about how you've been able to move the needle in the projects that you've worked in.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for inviting for this panel. Yes, CDD primarily comes with that wastewater expertise. So we have been doing a lot of decentralized wastewater treatment systems. So with that expertise, we also moved into water bodies. So a lot of our work involved in pollution mitigation, especially in taking cases of NBS. Again, we started with DWATs as a solution, but what we understand as over different projects or a different context that we have worked, DWATs is not only a solution, so we have to move behind very specific contextualized solutions for water bodies when we are talking. Because water bodies are not like a fixed system, so they are very dynamic systems. You can't have one single solutions that can actually copy paste in every water body. Every water body brings in its own challenges in terms of, we were like in the previous one when we are doing K100, we did also one small piloting in K100. So we know this is a storm drain and you have so many outlets that are coming in, how we can design some nature-based systems for it. So there is a lot of, we started with a lot of baseline data collection. I think a lot of our time we invest on understanding what is the problem. I think that's where the solution lies actually. We get into a lot of our studies, not just very specific to that water body or a storm drain. We move behind water body, look at a catchment level solutioning. So we study a lot of catchment related understanding of, okay, where this water is coming, where are the sources of pollution, what kind of pollution is coming. So we start with that and then look at little more on the actual water body there. So we try to bring in the solutions at a catchment level first and then move towards the city. What we believe here is that I think a lot of solutions should be at a catchment level, means what we call it as a source mitigations or a source reduction, instead of doing at the end of the pipe solution. We do end of pipe solutions. That's finally, if you're not getting anything in a catchment, you end up doing it. But somehow I feel that that is something that need to be done. Just want to bring in one small example that we did in Coimbatore. Definitely Akash will be presenting it. But even today, when you look at a lot of these water bodies, what we are seeing is that because of this dynamic, any water body, today I'm designing my system for today's pollutioning load. But it is not really, it's happening. Because over a time, even within a 6 to 8 months time, we see change in the pollution, whether it can increase or it can decrease. The pollution load has been very dynamic. We have to design a system to meet that requirement. One is from a pollution point. Second is also from a flow. Like when we talk about the designs of flow. So a lot of our flow, because of the climate change impact that we are seeing, we assume that the system can be, flow with this much flow. Like let's say an example, today I'm treating or developing an NBS for a small 1 MLD capacity. But we have seen during rainy season, it can go up to 10 MLD. So a lot of our solutioning has to, meet these requirements. That's where the whole design aspects come here. We can't go with very standardized, like how we typically do wastewater treatment solutions. Okay, I have some standard set, I'll go and design it. It's not possible for a water body context. It has to be very dynamic and look at the catchment, look at the particular drain and the source that is available in that catchment, we have to start designing it. That's what I see as a learning that we have got it through these areas.
I mean, fantastic, because you kind of pointed out the most important thing, it's not one size fits all. You do need to, at the end of the day, start with the diagnosis and then design and then execute. And that's where organizations like CDD come in, because they can be service providers in going from that diagnosis to design to execution. Ganesh, before I come to you, I'm going to make a pitch of my own because it'll link to the question I'm going to ask you. So one of the things that my team and Anam is here and Gayatri are here from the Well Labs team, we've been working with GBA and GBA and Friends of Lakes to see whether we can encapsulate some of these ideas into a framework. A framework, I should say, is not the same as a concrete design. You still need to go to, for a specific lake, you still do need to go to a CDD and get actual drawings and that sort of thing done. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it's always a dance between what is scientifically feasible and what the community's aspirations are. And we had a lot of debate over the last year on how you go between community and technical stuff, because there's a tendency for us to say it's all community and community decides everything and there's no technical input into this, or to say the scientists or technocrats will kind of figure this out and community has no say in it. And so one of the things that we've done with the joint framework, which is now joint and hopefully owned by many, many organizations, including CDD and so on. But what was really inspiring after that is people like Ganesh. Ganesh runs FluxGen Technologies, one of the emerging water tech startups in the city. Ganesh, you took that and you developed a software and tech layer over it almost like instantly. So can you talk to us about what you're doing as a solution package for lakes, and how you're seeing everything that you've heard in this dance between community and the technology, the need to be customized as well as instead of one size fits all. But how do you then build the tech solution around it?
Thanks, Veena. Though I've spoken in various forums, this is very nervous because you guys are expert in lakes, and I'm learning from this panel, of course. So I want to give a bit of the background on why work in lake. So this goes back to almost 30 years back. I was a 10-year-old boy, and I still remember my father is a very workaholic person, 78, he still works, but Sunday used to give me time. And we used to go to this lake, Madiwala, which is very close to my house. And it was the most enchanting time. We used to looking at the birds and everything. One day they told they are going to convert this lake into a residential locality. I don't know if anybody followed this news during 1994. And I was really deeply disenchanted. I mean, everything that I aspired on a Sunday was near that lake, right? But fortunately, people around the locality decided to fight against the authority, right? I mean, actually, proper activism, if you ask me, right? And they decided to involve everybody, and they decided to do a painting competition also for kids. Like, I was 10-year-old, and I used to love colors, painting. So it so happened that they also got all the forest department also into their side, and Suresh Blaker, Arundhati Nags, a few other environmentalists also had come. And we were able to protect that lake, right? Today it exists. It's just opposite to my office. Not just that, I also won the painting competition. They actually gave me the certificate called Friend of Lake. Along with it, they gave me an environment encyclopedia. I never used to read during my childhood much. I mean, my mother had struggles making me read. But since I had won that painting competition and I got that certificate, I started reading that environment encyclopedia. I got to know about air pollution, noise pollution, and water pollution, and everything. And yeah, I mean, that kind of really helped me to start thinking about it for myself. And I still don't, I'm 42, I still don't have a driving license. I cycle to work, and all furniture very limited at home. So what I'm trying to say, yes, I think that was a very important trigger. And today my office sees the lake. In my office, I can see the lake every day, right? So that also triggered me to take a career in environment. So that's what I'm saying, how community engagement can be so creative that can even help people get into careers in this. So yes, I think I've learned everything from Veena in Lake. No, I started by so everything that we have done started with talking to Veena. So we realized that as a company, we developed Internet of Things and AI-based solution for industries to reduce their water footprint. So that's a very technical, tech-based solution. I know it's a nature-based solution thing, but we were working for all these industries. And from start, now we have about 150 large corporates which utilizes our stationary-based, IoT-based system to reduce water footprint. What we realized was many of our corporates also are dependent on water from lakes. Like, the Adani Green Energy Limited, they clean their solar panels so much about water, and we decided to actually help them in that water part of their thing. And they were actually they had rejuvenated around 200 lakes. And they wanted to make sure that groundwater aquifers are filled through these lakes, and the lakes are of good quality, and it helps the community around there so that they can get, because they're anyway taking a lot of water. And similarly, Tata Motors have almost lakes in all their facility. So our origin of the story was mainly these large corporates in their water, de-risking them. So, of course, Veena's, we follow Well Labs LinkedIn all the time. And one of the time we saw the lake framework. And then we realized what we are doing for industries, we are trying to do for industry. We immediately built that framework. Using the framework, without asking Veena, we built the whole software. So what we are essentially trying to do was, initially we were trying to take data from satellites about the lakes and see, looking at the lake, how does the lake look and what are the various parameters that we could assess the lake. But there are some parameters, it's based on optical parameters, there were some merits to using satellite. But we failed to get more important parameters like bathymetry, doing bathymetry analysis, like the depth of various parts of the lake. So we decided actually, why not build a small boat, autonomous boat, because people going in the boat and doing this using a stick and measuring the depth is a very time consuming. Ram sir said there was I think Bengaluru Lake, they used huge army of people, technically people from army, I guess. And it took almost like 45 days. And it took so much people's effort. So, being from tech, I thought, why don't we actually build a small boat which would go around everywhere and route the boat in such a direction you get a microscope, as minute points as possible to know the depth of it. So put up sensors and drive it. So we were able to do that. Started with Radha Kunj Lake in next to Art of Living. And we were able to do the complete bathymetry. And of course, we came back to Veena showing what we have done. So that kind of helped us understand that this method that we are doing was far superior than existing methods of doing bathymetry. Over and beyond, we have also started putting sensors like TDS, pH, COD, BOD, bunch of these sensors on this boat to take these parameters, right? And also, we were able to collect water sample at different parts of the lake, because lake water quality is not same the overall. You just take water from one part of the lake, it doesn't mean the whole lake would have the same water quality. So we were able to take samples and send it to laboratory as well. And we are also trying to use CDD's lab now. So that way we were able to build a software that would use this boat's data, satellite data. Recently we also started using drones also. We would fly drones and take thermal image. And we are learning from Veena how we can use this thermal image also, maybe the sewage coming in, how you can analyze that. So we are in the work in progress company with respect to lake. So we've been able to do this. Recently, of course, we worked for the Raichur, Parapur Lake for Well Labs, where we've been able to do this. So I believe for us, we're still learning, and we believe having a scientific assessment of the lake will help you know what you want to do next. And once you do the scientific assessment, whether it's the bathymetry, water quality, or various other ways where you're getting the sewage, or all these things, then you can take action. And once you take action, and a lake can, I was just hearing, it could be a storage of water or flood resilience thing, or it could even be attracting migratory birds, like yesterday we were saying, right, day before yesterday. So once it is done, again when you do the assessment using this, once you've done all the work, when you move this boat around everywhere and do the assessment using drone also, then you would know whether the work that you envisage to do, have you done it as per. So Veena says that if you have not done bathymetry, you might end up doing the wrong, you may not be able to, the cost might overrun because you've not really planned what to do, right? So, so that way I think our goal, of course, as a business, is we are a for-profit company, right? Our goal is to build something that is of value to the people who are stakeholders of lake, and at the same time we end up making some margins out of it. So I hope learning from you all, we can take it to the next level. Sorry for the longer answer.
No, fantastic. I didn't know the Madiwala Lake story, so that's really nice to know. So I want to go to the next set of questions on how to pay for all of this, because I mean, we are here with this event organized by Mercedes-Benz, and Mercedes-Benz has kind of shown leadership in how do we use the CSR money effectively to make our city better. Now, this has been a non-straightforward path because, you know, there's been a lot of lawsuits around this idea of if CSR is funding the lake, does that somehow imply ownership of a public asset by a private organization? And then the High Court has kind of gone back and forth. The High Court has also gone back and forth. The courts have gone back and forth between citizens and the validity of the citizen MOU itself. And then because the argument is the citizen group is a private group, we know that in some lakes in Bangalore, there are 3-4 citizen groups are fighting with each other. And so then the question is, which is the legitimate citizen group? So there are all of these things which we have also been debating, saying we strongly agree with this idea that you need stakeholders who have to have a voice and will use that voice to hold government accountable and to, at the same time, in a constructive way, manage the assets properly. At the same time, you can't have 2 citizen groups fighting with each other and putting lawsuits on each other and together all putting lawsuits on all of the agencies. I mean, you can't have that either. So there are legitimate reasons for why our current structure doesn't work. There's also on one hand, huge benefits to bringing CSR money in. On the other hand, we also know there have been lawsuits coming out of the CSR money. So Ramsar, can you tell us a little bit about this CSR role in lakes, why it has been contentious, and where is the current, where is it ending up right now, and what's your stand on this as well?
Yeah, here I would like to put in the Federation's stand, not Friends of Lake stand. We also have, because Friends of Lake stand is much more like, stronger, or it is much more on a different activism role. But Federation has toned it down to tell that all of us have a consensus on certain things. So with that one, I would like to bring about one of the things that what happened in course of all this lake rejuvenations and CSR coming in and other things. The issue was beautification and only recreational purposes. The core activity was totally ignored. Forget it. Nobody even bothered about looking at the lake, but they were talking only about the garden. If you ask me, there were CSRs which only told that we will not touch the water at all. So the MOU also was lake management, lake maintenance, but no word of water in it. So I did not understand, what are you doing there when you don't even bother about the water? So one of the questions that was asked was, will you even, because the CSR is sponsored to an NGO, and that NGO is not the local NGO, or it is not the local stakeholder. For them, it doesn't matter. Let me tell you, as citizen lake groups, we have seen it doesn't matter to them whether the lake is good or bad. CSR money has come in, I will spend it, I will do something. Sometimes they don't even talk to the local citizen groups or the stakeholders. This has been our grievances from pretty long time, that even NGOs which are there, which we now call it as business NGOs, who don't bother unless until there is some profiteering in it or there is money in it. And later on, once the money is gone and everything else, they are not be seen. For us, the problem is you have made something in the name of CSR, and we are not supposed to question because it is donation. Somebody is doing good for you. Why should you bother, talk about it? Or you are not doing good for me. Ulta, there are cases, I can give you at least minimum 100 cases, where we have suffered because of what has been done. In the name of ESG, in the name of BRS or BRSR or whatever it is, you wanted water credits, or you wanted to prove that you are water neutral or water positive, whatever it is, and dug up huge wells. It's a 32 feet lake, which was just 10 feet lake, dug into become a 32 feet lake. And no inlet, and all the water is all around the place, except Bandenal Sandra and Kamasandra lake. Now, who is suffering? The people around that are getting flooded. Now, who are you supposed to blame? The NGO or the CSR funding? If the CSR funding doesn't understand all this kind of things, there was no way for the citizen group but to approach the court. Because actually, in one of the cases, it so happened the government, practically the CSR donor has encroached on the lake for more than 3.5 acres. The whole lake is given off to that same encroacher for 20 years to rejuvenate and maintain. And not only that became the case, later on, they were going to put a road inside the lake for that very same builder. It was a builder, end of the day. So it was, all these things were happening, and that is where we could not wait and watch and see all these things going on like this, because it was with impunity these things were being done in the name of CSR. In the name of I am donating to you. You should be more grateful to me. Let me tell you, we are grateful if it is good. We are totally going to be ungrateful to you if you are going to be messing up with this whole thing. That is when, we had to come out with a framework telling that there is a framework, you need to follow something, there is environmental standards, there is engineering standards. If those engineering standards and environmental standards are not being followed, there will be problem, and that problem is, end of the day, we as impacted stakeholders, we suffer. And today we are suffering. There are lakes which we are suffering to the core, and 100% there is no option for us, because we have gone to everywhere possible, writing to them, telling them, but sometimes the arrogance is on a different level. The NGO arrogance is on one level, because they are again coming with donation. So let me tell you, yes, we are happy that CSR come in. We are very happy about all those things. So here is where that whole thing happened, and it went to the court. Today it is in the court. And what is the answer for that one, what the government has thought? Citizen groups are very bad. Let us throw them out.
And also, let's throw all CSR out on the other hand also, which we also don't.
Yes.
Throw everybody out.
Everybody out. Now there is whole of Bangalore, you cannot put anything with CSR. Now whatever some lake rejuvenation everybody is doing is, remember one thing, everything is outside Bangalore only. If somebody is claiming from 2019 onwards, if anybody is claiming, I am rejuvenating lake in Bangalore, I am sorry to tell you, nobody would have got a legal permission or a proper permission to do it, because there is a stay. And government has not given permission to anybody to rejuvenate within Bangalore. Everything has been outside Bangalore. And outside Bangalore, what was the mess up? We can give you number of examples how the mess up has happened. And because of that, how people are suffering. And today we are, we had to expand Federation of Bengaluru Lakes to involve those citizens also, because end of the day, now GBA came in and many of them have got involved, and our circle has become bigger. And the reason is, let me tell you, again I kept on telling you, we are not activists. We don't want to run to the court for every this thing and all. Once if it becomes totally intolerable is when we are gone. And that is one aspect. The other aspect is, many of them, let it be government, let it be NGOs, many experts think that, citizen groups are, they don't know anything. But let me tell you, in past 15 years of experience, sometimes our experience talks more better than a PhD holder. What we have seen on ground, what we have seen there for the 15 years, constructed wetland being done, no harvesting happening, we are questioning where did the phosphate go? It is not gone anywhere, it is there only. It is not gone anywhere, it is right in the sludge. And there is methane production, and tomorrow fire catches, or nothing has gone there. So just doing a constructed wetland and harvesting twice in a year is not going to work out. If you are telling me you are going to bring 2 MLD sewage.
So can you now talk about the positive? Because I know things have gone bad. Government has said to throw everybody out.
Yeah.
Clearly that's not acceptable either. And that's not what any of us want. All of us want that we want rejuvenation to be scientifically done, funded by corporates from the city, ideally, and with citizens paying close attention and holding everybody accountable. So what's the way forward?
So one of the way forward that we have always discussed every time is, one thing is, that's the reason we came up with the lake framework, spent quite a bit of time to tell you that how where and how citizens have to be engaged, especially the impacted stakeholders. We are not telling every citizen in the world, bring somebody from Yelahanka, put them in Bengaluru and talk about it. No, we are not requesting that one. At least people, those who are going to get impacted, that 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer around that area should be involved. Many NGOs told, or many CSR told, we don't know how to do it. Framework, we did it so that you actually can take it and you can run it. They asked, no, we want only tick marks. We don't want, give us a sheet which is just a checklist. Yes, we are given it in checklist format also, so that at least that much if you do, we will be able to look at the whole this thing. And as Federation, as the President of Federation, I think so I'm openly telling that we are ready to cooperate, to be with you, be your eyes, ears, hands and legs. Maybe you people be the brain. We are not least bothered about it. But at least we are there. And because impacted stakeholders, we are ready to collaborate. I think so, Jana Arbana, everybody know that how, let it be any lake they have told, we are told, okay, these are the people, go to them, speak to them, involve with them, and any problems that occurred, Gayatri would call me and tell me, and any problem that occurred immediately within next 10 minutes, because we are the vote bank there. We are not just impacted stakeholders. We are the local citizens and we are the vote bank. That is one of the things as Friends of Lakes and Federation we are creating is, we are vote banks. And it is across the city vote bank. It is not just one locality vote bank. We are across the city vote bank, and we know how to deal with the political being also. The last is we resort to court cases and other things. But again, that's why reason I was telling you, you should not be afraid to engage with us is because end of the day, we are not activists. And one more thing is we are very clear that we are going to be, on this thing that, we are going to collaborate, we are going to, be with the people, those who are ready to help us.
Okay, messages, don't be afraid of either side. Don't be afraid of the political side, don't be afraid of activists. Rohini, so on this path of now saying that we want to do a framework, we want to have clear metrics, because one, Ramprasad keeps saying, do good. And the big challenge is, what is the definition of good? Because otherwise they're like, but we fill this lake with water, and then because one problem we had with a lot of early CSR projects is that they only used a single metric, which was the volume, which is why you got these 30 feet deep, what you're calling a well, but you got these very deep ones because the incentive was excavate and maximize the volume so that you can claim that as your, against your water offset. So what is good? What are good parameters that we should be looking at that eventually somebody like a Ganesh can then develop methods for MEL around that? Can you just walk us through that?
Yeah. The good indicator for any lake rejuvenation, like as Sir was saying, and we also have seen that some of the framework and we've given inputs. Typically what happens for an NGO or a CSR is mostly like, okay, how many benches are there? How many, water bodies, how many, birds are coming up? So they're very, very minor indicators that are there. I think I will go back to a first question is that what do we want as a lake? Is that lake for water body for a rejuvenation, for a recreation, or is it for a fishing? So there are many indicators that we need to look at first. So based on that, we have to see, okay, what is my, indicators that I want to bring in? Definitely water quality is there. So there is a very clean guideline from CPCB says that, okay, if I want to use this water for this category, this is what my standards to be. So water quality is a very already defined number. However, there are many indicators that we should bring in, whether in terms of the plantation, in terms of aquatic life, in terms of the biodiversity. Even the community engagement is also one of the indicators. Because we have seen in the name of bypass, everything has been bypassed. As Sir said, it has become like a very big well. We have seen communities coming back and then breaking these whole structures that have been built and then letting the wastewater into it, saying that, okay, let me, if I don't even have fresh water, let my lake fill up with waste, completely with unwanted wastewater, solid waste is also fine. Let me have some water in my lake. I want to see water in the lake. So there are many things that we should look at it as an indicator, not just only look at few which are easily visible to the high. I see there is much more to work as an indicator, which I think Ganesh has been coming up with. A lot of these technical indicators are really good, which we can use AI and bring in. But there has to be some other way which we can bring in where I think I really feel the community around it, like as Sir said, be a part of that indicative system. They can able to really help us in collecting a lot of these informations through their visual, through their interaction, through their part of that whole system. I see that is something we need to really bring back into the water body systems.
Fantastic. Ganesh, I think there's a advice for you there also, which is that we don't want the MEL system, monitoring evaluation, to be all automated boards, but a combination of sort of lake health index that FOL is also, so community collection of data laid on top of that. So software to also lead that, not everything to be drones and automated boards. But I wanted to have both of you reflect, because both of you have engaged with corporates and CSR in very different ways. So Annapurna, one thing you've done is you've done a lot of, whether with Nature's Gurukul or whether you've done it with Nokia, you've run these innovation challenges around the lakes and so on. So talk a little bit about your corporate engagement. And then Ganesh, I'd like you to talk about sort of the perspective of where corporates are coming in from this water credits, water offset system, because with the new BRSR guidelines, so that we kind of, it's not all one type of engagement, and so we can kind of understand the breadth of it. So Annapurna, maybe you first.
Yeah, so mainly we were discussing in the panel also, the thing is with the CSRs, statistics is very important, so for them when they're investing X amount of money, how do I show the impact, so what is it? So normally will be how many plants were planted or is there children's park or whatever, which is visible, When we speak about, invest in water quality or projects like that, if there is no visible impact, which they can be visually measuring, forget about the research and other things, they feel that they're missing on that part, like if I bring somebody for an inspection, what do I show them? Like this quality was there and now it is this quality, which may be a small jump, from wherever it was. And I've invested so many lakhs of people, my money in it. So that is one thing we always face a challenge. So what, strategy we started using was whenever we started having CSR, we started dividing that funds into visible and non-visible, kind of impact. So we said, okay, we will give you some visibles, like, okay, you want to do something, but there we were very mindful that it was something that was useful and balancing the community conservation connect. I know it is not nice to have a children's play park and everything ecologically, but because we were working with citizen engagement, until there is a stake or something that brings people there, they won't have ownership. So we have to have small projects like that, but we mindfully did it in a very ecological way, like by not cutting trees and all that. So we showcased some of these projects which were visible and measurable, and then we also made them invest in some of the other projects which was directly related to lake health. So this also worked because then they had some things to show and then the others were okay with them, So this strategy works, and we also worked on a lot of grants. Like whenever they were pilot projects and we wanted to do any citizen science and those kind of programs, like Bangalore Sustainability Forum grants and some other grants. And, we were also fortunate to have some scientific organizations like AT and all bringing their own system into place, so that was a pleasure to work with. We didn't have to worry about funds there. So when it was, kind of CSR funds, this was a strategy that really worked for us. And our experience has been good because we also would talk to them about why we are there, why the funds need to be equally distributed between the lake health and other amenities, and they were okay to, balance that.
Balance. We are running out of time, but can you talk about the water credits really quickly? 1 minute.
Yeah. So, as you know, we work on both within the fence and outside the fence. So, within the fence is basically reducing water consumption within the fence. The second thing is outside the fence. So, these projects today are measured through volumetric water benefiting accounting 2 standards. So, that standard, they want to make sure that if you're a data center company like a Microsoft, Google, Amazon, if they're consuming water from any of these basins, they divide the whole country, as you know, into basins, and if they're taking water from certain basins, they want to equally contribute to the water replenishment. So, of course, lake rejuvenation is one among them, and the straightforward approach is please refer that volumetric water benefit accounting. That helps in understanding how this can be done. And there are people, individuals, organizations like Wells and Well Labs and others can also propose a project on how their volumetric benefiting accounting can be actually offsetted. So, and then that will be credited, and so that's how we have been working. Over and beyond, we have, as I said, 100 plus large corporate. Everybody today are looking at water mandates, not just from CSR point of view, from ESG point of view. So that way, because of their BRSR reporting and things like that. So we have started seeing both CSR and the ESG leaders of the company reaching out to say, while you've done a lot of things in the wastewater treatment and rainwater harvesting intelligence and everything, can you do something in this lakes? That's how we have been able to been approached by various corporates for them to achieve their 10x water positive goal. Yeah.
10x. Okay, we are out of time. We don't have time for even questions, right? We can do 2 questions. Okay, 2 questions. Yeah, there's one there. And there's a lady behind. Maybe we'll, yeah. Sorry, there's one question here. The gentleman had his hand up. Yeah. Maybe we'll collect all 3 questions and then a couple of people can answer. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's been a wonderful interaction. So I just wanted to come back to, I think my question is both to Ram sir and the panel generally. But I think when you talk about lake rejuvenation, there's this balance between the technical, scientific sort of side of things and then the, we can call it the social side of things, right? And with all the best intentions in the world, an organization might come in very proficient and well read on the scientific side of things, and they may bungle the social side of things. From the Jakul Lake, it seems like if that scientific implementation is mediated by the local community, then that's one way to bring that balance between these two things. So I just want to ask what approaches, I mean, it's to ask you to comment on this first of all, but also what sort of approaches are different actors bringing in to make this process more viable?
Got it. We'll take, yeah.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm Madhuri Mandava from Paniyat Foundation. Had this question about, from morning. So this is not just specific to this panel discussion, but the acknowledgement that we have river systems actually. How does that come into the play when we are, designing all these frameworks, putting the water resilience of Bangalore, because I live just outside BBMP area. I think the Bengaluru that you're referring to is just the BBMP area, but I just live outside and I have a river right beside me, which is still meandering. If the acknowledgement is not there, that is also going to become like an engineered drain. So how do we bring that into these discussions so that we are not talking about thousands of crores down the line, but maybe a couple of lakhs today to actually fix the problem?
Okay, and we'll take the third question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, hi, thank you for the wonderful discussion. I am Simranpreet from NIOA. So my question is for Ganesh, that while you mentioned about the software that you have developed, considering the qualitative and the quantitative aspects of the lake rejuvenation, I would like to understand its replicability and the scalability while we work with the cities. How much contextual it needs to be and how much standardization is required. So if you can talk about that kind of balance. Okay.
You want to take the first question on community, both of you?
Yeah, community one which you had asked.
What's the question?
You are giving the analysis. This is the water quantification for data center, something like that. And also the water consumption, again, the consumption based, they should also rejuvenate or that much they should contribute. So how that metric works and how do you fix the metrics? Can you please throw some light, because it is not generic, you cannot fix it for all, because one is not fit for everyone. Okay, can you please? Thank you.
Yeah, we'll start with the question on with regarding to how we have done the social aspects and how technical aspect, scientific aspect and social aspect we are able to trying to bring it together so that the social part, that is the citizens and others, those who are involved also are happy about the way that the rejuvenation has happened, and that is when they will take ownership. Let me tell you, if you don't involve them right at the word go, that is when you are at the planning level, and you are given something to them afterwards, the story will take a different turn. So involving them right from when you have started the planning. So one of the things that we have done in the framework is also that one, that where do you involve them? Where do you involve and how do you involve? So framework talks about that one. If you want, the framework is available still for review. Please go ahead and see the framework and let us get more reviews. And if you want your organization logo to be there, we are very happy to see to it that the organization logo is put up over there, and surely we want to publish it ASAP, that all of us have combinedly done this particular framework. If that is on one side, again, it all depends upon the purpose and functionality of the lake. First is the engineering functionality and the purpose that we take as the paramount to look into that. If it is going to be flood mitigation lake, then what needs to be there? If it is going to be rainwater harvesting lake, then what needs to be there? If it is going to be, groundwater recharge lake, then what should be there? If it is going to be a total ecological lake. So we are not telling that, every lake should be totally ecological. At the same time that every lake should become flood mitigation lake. There will be lakes which is totally sports in nature. We have one lake which is totally sports in nature now. Slowly, a lot of sports is happening over there. Caking is happening, a lot of other things are happening. Maybe we will envision that lake as a sports lake. And there are lakes which is practically, I told you, right, a 45-acre lake has been converted to a 16-acre now. What happened to the remaining ones? They all are becoming recreational in purpose. Maybe one or two. That doesn't mean that everything. Now, this is the problem. The problem has been that you take one design and put it everywhere. And now, because of that, the flood mitigation lakes are becoming totally recreational lake, wherein you have got a jogging track, you have got a walking track. Now you have got a why jogging track, walking track? Because they both clash with each other. So, yeah, sorry, I went into the design aspect. So like that, what we want to see to it, that already the framework talks about how to get this whole thing worked out. That is number one. And to see to it that, right from day one, you are involving, automatically the community will take responsibility, will stand with you. Don't go and dump on us something which you think that you have done the right and dumped on us and walked away. That doesn't work, because then we don't know what you have dumped on us. And end of the day, when we see the wrong, we'll only talk about the wrong. So that is one of the aspects. Yes.
Yeah, so I would like to take the question from Madhuri. Yeah, so you were speaking about, are we also thinking about the riverine network? So at Jakkur, whenever we have done conservation through citizen initiative, we've been mindful that Jakkur is part of the Yelamallappa Chetty series, which finally drains to the Dakshina Pinakini. So we have understood that saving a lake is saving a river. And this is the message we actually spread in the community to the children who visit the lake, because we want them to understand that a lake near the home is also equally important. And the second thing being, whenever I'm speaking about Jakkur, I cannot speak in Xylo because all the inlets are bringing water from other lakes. So if there is any problem upstream anywhere or side stream somewhere, I am suffering. So only inside the fence doesn't work for us. We have to always work outside the fence through the Rajkalwe Nalas. That's the connect. So that is why at this point we are very happy that GBA has given this opportunity to have SWD and lakes in the same corporation. So I'm hoping that things will be better, because now networking and riverine network will be easy to, kind of revive and conserve.
Yeah, sure. So I'll respond to the Madhuri's questions. I also come from the same area. So definitely any of the water body that we look at Bangalore, it is in a series. So you have to take it as a riverine system. You can't do study or do any interventions very specific to this lake. So a lot of interventions, even today, the Rishabhavati is still in that case because of the upstream. It's not just because of that only that surrounding area. So unless otherwise you go back to the catchment area and do some intervention, I don't see anything that you will be able to solve this problem. Every year we do measure, you also know part of it. Every year the wastewater is increasing only. Today there is a 400, then tomorrow it is another 500. Unless otherwise they manage at a catchment level, this will not be solve the problem. So we have to look at as a whole system here, I would say.
Yeah, to quickly answer scalability, we are building a SaaS platform, of course, and in fact, Veena will probably be able to say whether it is scalable or not, because she's our customer. But what we essentially are trying to understand from the policy, whether it is Amrut mission or whether it is government's Amrut Sarovar, where they want 75 lakes per district, is we are understanding the policy and trying to see how it can be done. Basically, currently, it captures all the important lake parameters, bathymetry or the water quality and various other. But over and beyond, we have not explored the land part. Just we were discussing about how you can also understand the land and water part of it. So we are still in the very beta stage, but we'd love to connect through coffee and understand more. The second question on, so we don't get the data of how much water has been consumed in a data set. It's very, unfortunately, very secure or rather protected information. But they would always know what is the replenishment they plan to do. So from that, there will be water replenishment budget by each project, per project. And that will be given as a packages, and then we can actually come up with a proposal. So unfortunately, we can only do the water replenishment amount evaluation, monitoring, and ensure that is matched, but we don't have the number for...
I just want to conclude. Thank you. It was fantastic listening to all of you. I think we're only going to be able to fix this if we all sort of work together. And already I'm seeing everybody that we've spoken to, people's work plugs into other people's work. The more we do it, the better we are going to be. I also think that we should also forgive ourselves a little bit, because we are all learning. Because I don't think everybody has figured everything out. And so the more we can kind of exchange these learnings in a very honest way and have smaller meetings which have 10, 15 people being really honest about learnings in the city, I think that would be really valuable. And then the last bit, I wanted to respond to the community versus plus science and how that works together. I think we're very good at codifying science. We're not very good at codifying how we actually work well with community. But I think it actually is codifiable. We can learn how to do it systematically, teach it and enshrine it into principles. Not hard and fast, they're not laws of physics, but it can be taught and learned. And I think the more we do that, learn from both these people who've done that very successfully, the more we're going to be better off. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you everyone for joining us for this very insightful panel. We will now be heading to lunch. Lunch has been set right outside this room. For participants who are going for the site visit, we request you to please wrap up your lunch hopefully by 1:20 p.m. so that you can leave the venue latest by 1:30 p.m. Please do coordinate with our volunteers, Ms. Usha Kumareshan and Sagar Kishan. They will be guiding you on the site visit. We will reconvene the other sessions by 1:30 p.m. Thank you.